Kivett. I am a certified licensed athletic trainer in the Indianapolis, Indiana area, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the SonicX properly on somebody who's in front of you. I'll teach you a different form of how to use this on yourself, but for this video series I'm going to show you how to work on somebody else, whether we're trying to warm up for an activity or whether we're trying to deal with a reduction of pain or compression. So we've got the LifePro SonicX, and the tool that I like the most, we have 4 different tools here. We have this one with a little flat knob on it. We've got one that looks like a little football goal post, or a Y-shaped tool. We have one with a ball, and then we've got one that's a direct point. For just generally working on the entire body, I like this flat tip the best. I will be honest in that I've used a lot of the competitors' tools as well, including Theragun and the Tim Tam and the HyperIce, HyperVolt, and honestly, and I've been experimenting with my clients here in the last few weeks between the Theragun G3 Pro and the SonicX, and my clients actually like this one better. So pretty cool. A lot of different levels that we can do. Me personally, I like to start with a level 2 to 3. It goes all the way up to a level 5. And the other thing that I love about this tool is the battery life lasts really, really long time. I can get an entire day out of this tool by itself without having to recharge the internal battery, whereas with the other competitors I have to switch out the batteries more frequently. So this is my friend Lori. She's going to be my model for the demonstration today. I'm going to make sure and share with you, there are a lot of bony areas, bony prominences, especially in the ankles, up here in the shoulders, on the outside of the lower leg. Very, very sensitive areas, especially again on the elbow. So I'm going to show you how to work around those areas, because you don't want to use the SonicX in the areas of bony prominences or it's really painful. Okay? So without further ado, I'm just going to start with the bottom of the feet, which is awesome for plantar fasciitis or for restless leg syndrome, and teach you how to do an entire total body treatment on somebody in your home or a friend, or at some point, like I said, I'll show you how to use it on yourself. But for tonight's video, this is going to be more for how you work on somebody else. Okay? So I'm going to start on a level. The feet are super sensitive, so we're going to push the button on top until we hear the SonicX come on and start working. I'm going to go up to a level 2, and I'm going to start here at the tip of the calcaneus, and I'm just very gently going to make contact. If we're trying to relax, or if we're trying to work with somebody who's in pain, we want to go very slow. If we are trying to warm up for an activity outside, or whether you're getting ready to go running, or trying to get the heart rate up, getting blood flow into the areas, you're going to want to go with a more rapid technique. But for today, for this demonstration, this is just everyday pain relief and for recovery and pain management relaxation. So I'm really trying to tap into what's called her parasympathetic nervous system, and with that, we're trying to take her out of a state of fight or flight and trying to induce her into a state of active recovery, which is your parasympathetic. When we go really fast, it kind of is an excitatory process, so we up-regulate the sympathetic nervous system, and that's not what we want for recovery or for pain management. So again, going very slow, very controlled. You don't want to push hard. We're letting the SonicX do all of the work for us, okay? So we're just starting here on the heel, and I'm working more into the arch. If she has comfortable sensation with this, then we can go up to a level 3. When we're looking at the bones in the bottom of the foot, we don't want to go, I personally don't like having this done to me beyond the arch. So we don't want to go down in here into the metatarsal head of the great toe. Super sensitive point, and there's a lot of other anatomical structures that flow through that point, including one of your main perineal tendons attaches down here. So we want to stay above the ball of the foot, okay? Or as we would say, proximal on the foot. Okay? To make this a little bit more intense, I can bend her knee, pull her foot flat, And then again, we're going to start with the bottom of the heel, and as that's a really bony area, so you're going to get a little bit of extra vibration from that. We don't want the tool to bounce around too much, so you have to make sure that you maintain control. A couple different ways to hold this tool is like such, or you can hold it underneath. Underneath gives you a little bit more control, less strain on the wrist. Okay? So we're here working all the way into, and I like to put my fingers down over the bony prominences so I have no chance of touching them by accident. And the other thing that you can do is you can push across, and we open up the entire arch, the entire plantar fascia, which this usually feels really good for people. Okay, so from here, we're going to go back down to a flat position. Again, the ankle bones, medial and lateral malleolus are really sensitive areas. I'm going to demonstrate on this foot so you can actually see a little bit better. But I'm going to put my hand over those bony prominences so I don't have a chance of running over them with the tool. And again, I'm just going very slowly. The perineals are usually really sensitive on individuals, so we want to go a little less pressure or a lower setting. Right now we're on level 4. You doing okay with this, Lori?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The gastrocs, especially up here on the outside, normally very sensitive as well. There is a hot spot over here on the medial gastroc head. So again, I always put my hand here because when I tap that, it sends a reflex through the lower leg, and a lot of people will kick their foot up. You don't want to get hit. So I tend to not spend a lot of time on that part of the gastroc on the medial side. On the outer portion of the tibia and the fibula, there's the fibular head. It's a little knob right here on the outside. There's a nerve that lies right underneath of that that's really, really sensitive if it's touched. And it can cause a tingling sensation all the way down the leg. So I also like to place my hand over that so I don't have any chance of tapping that by accident. Otherwise you can cause a temporary paralysis to the lower leg. It doesn't feel very good. So kind of like hitting your funny bone, but much, much more sensitive. So I'm just working very slowly back and forth through here. And I'm not going to do both sides of her body because the whole point of this demonstration is just to give you an idea of what to look out for and how to maneuver the tool. So I'm just showing you one side for now. From here, I'm going to go ahead and bend the knee, and I'm going to work up the shin. Again, you don't want to touch, you don't want to run the SonicX right on the shin bone, very, very sensitive. So I like to keep my arm here so that I don't have any chance of running that by accident. Okay. And that might be hard for some of you to see, so let's see if I can do it this way. Not ergonomically friendly on the side. There we go. So again, I'm just running my fingers up and down her shin bone, which is very prominent, so that I don't accidentally bump it because it does not feel good. Alright, so we're going to go back down. On the medial aspect of the lower leg, we're getting the tibialis posterior, which is often a source of shin splints. And I'm going to work that all the way up until I get to the medial calf here, the medial gastroc. And again, I'm not going to go over that because it's a very sensitive area, so I get a lot of reflex where people will kick their foot up and they don't have any control over it. It's just part of the brain's sensory. Alright, so now that we've made it through, we can actually go through the knee joint, which is where all the hamstring tendons roll through. And you can actually go through the knee joint as long as they don't have their leg bent. You don't want to bend the knee and then go through the knee on the back side because there's a lot of pressure points there. But as long as she is relaxed and the leg is straight, we can work right through those tendons, which are really important. Those are your hamstring tendons that cross over the knee joint. IT band, okay, really good on the IT band. You don't want to foam roll the IT band. It doesn't work very well for that, but the vibration actually takes the tension off the IT band, so it actually works really well for that. I'm just very slowly working each one of the hamstring heads, which there's 3. Nice and easy. Okay, if let's say you've got somebody who decides that they want a different sensation, you can take this tip off and use, again, I like to use the ball as the other one that I like to use for majority of the body. It's not as directed area. It's just a general sensation, I think. How do you like this one versus the other one, Lori?
Yeah, it feels really good.
Okay. Usually with this one, they can handle a little bit more intensity, whereas the other one, because it's more point specific, you have to use a lower level if they're very sensitive. Okay. So now we're getting into the glutes. When we're getting into the glutes, we're going to work the medius, the minimus, and the gluteus maximus. The maximus usually doesn't cause as much problem as these do over on this side. And again, I normally don't cross over the table when I'm working on somebody, but for demonstration purposes, so that you can see exactly what I'm doing here, I'm kind of reaching over the body. But whenever you're working on somebody, try and keep them closer to you. It's a lot easier. So I'm just kind of working like a fan. If you can imagine one of the fans that open up, you know, fanning yourself. I like to work in more of a fan formation through here. And a lot of times I'll put my hand here on her low back, because if there is a lot of tightness here, the vibration will work its way up, and I can sense from just a lot of experience as to which muscles need this more than others by where the force of the vibration transfers. So we're just going back and forth, nice and easy. If I place my hand right here, you can see the inseam on her, or the seam line on her pants. That's where her crack is going to lay. Her sacrum is right here where my hand lies. And so what you want to do is, to the outside, the greater portion, the outside of your hand, about right here is where the sciatic nerve is going to flow. You want to be careful not to spend too much time on the sciatic nerve, because you can irritate that. But just working to the outside, as long as you can release the external hip rotators, it will take pressure off the sciatic nerve, and it also takes pressure off the IT band, and it also takes pressure off the low back. So if somebody's got low back pain, I don't always resort to the low back, always go to the external hip rotators first. If you're wanting to get deeper, okay, again, we're going to switch out the heads, and we're going to go back to this flat head. If we're wanting to go deeper, we're going to bend the knee, because then I can get much, much deeper into the tissue, since there's slack in the muscle. So I just increase the level, and she's going to feel this a lot more than if I had her legs straight. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
Okay, if you're wanting to work different parts of the hamstring, you can also rotate the leg in very carefully. Make sure you're careful with doing this, because it's a very sensitive thing, especially with the lateral hamstring here. And right on into where the femur attaches into the hip socket. Just be really gentle there. I'm being a little more fluid, a little more quick, because it is so hypersensitive through here. And then we can also rotate the leg to the outside. Again, very gentle, and that exposes muscles much differently as well. You can also get the medial hamstring this way, which is super sensitive most of the time. Those are also your adductors. Very, very common for males who are very tight in the hamstrings. They will be very, very tight here on the adductor muscle group. Okay? So there's that. Gonna come around to the other side. If you have somebody who is super tight up here, you can take your hand underneath and relax your leg for me. And you can bring their leg to the outside, which opens up this whole side of the hip. And then you're going to get a totally different effect with that versus if she's just laying neutral. So there is external hip rotators closer to insertion point of the femoral head here. And then we're getting up here into the sacrum, which is where a lot of SI joint pain is located. And then we're going to help her get back into that position. So we've done everything on the back side, lower leg. Now I'm going to work my way up to the back. And again, very, very gentle, very slow. If you, like, you can hear this slapping back against her tissue. probably need to drop it down a notch when you hear that, because she's feeling that as well, and also it creates more of a stinging sensation than it does a comfort sensation. Okay, you can run to the other side, so I'll see what I'm doing here. So again, I like to pull the sacrum down into position, and we're just going up and down nice and slow along the paraspinals where she can feel that. If you have somebody who has a lot of neck issues, a lot of shoulder issues, this is a great release for individuals who sit all day at a desk or at a computer, or even for those who stand on concrete all day. Really, really good release in the paraspinals, okay? I know it's probably hard for you guys to see from the distance, but you kind of get the idea. Just slow and controlled is the key. Now, when we get over here into the shoulder, the other thing that you can do with the goalpost attachment, that's this guy right here, okay? So we've got the goalpost attachment. You can run this on both sides of the spine, just stay off the actual spine itself. And so with this, you can get both sides at the same time, which feels really, really good. And you can even work down into the sacrum. And this is actually a really good attachment for the hamstrings. For her, she's got very prominent, defined musculature, so for isolating the different hamstring heads, this is an easy way to go through and isolate those hamstring heads. Okay, so we're going to go up into the shoulder, and go ahead and bring your arms down to your side for me. She has a lot of musculature up here, but she also has a lot of bony prominences with the scapula. So I tend to put my hand right here, so again, I can't bounce the vibration off of her bone because it's not going to feel good. And I'm just kind of following the contour of her shoulder blade. Again, for this one, this is not my favorite attachment for this one. My favorite attachment for this one, again, is either going to be this flat tip, or the blunt tip, okay? For quick demonstration, we're just going to use the flat tip. And she works in an office setting, so she's very stressed up here in her neck and shoulder areas. So again, I'm going to work very, very slow through here. Get into the supraspinatus, which runs right across the top, above the shoulder blade, the scapular border here. And little by little, I'm just going to pace myself back and forth, just making sure that I get the rotator cuff as a unit across the shoulder blade or the scapula, and over here into where the humerus attaches into the socket, because it's where a lot of those tendons attach, and those tendons get really irritated and sensitive. So this is really good for kind of letting those go. Now, if you're trying to get the rhomboids, which a lot of times will create a lot of pain, especially with breathing and coughing, we're going to lay the hand, the low part of the back, have them relax the elbow, and then the shoulder blade pops up. When that happens, you can actually get underneath the shoulder blade, which usually feels really good, especially if they've got burning sensations through their neck and in their upper shoulders, upper back. This release right here, the rhomboid major and minor, are usually quite effective in relaxing the rest of the neck shoulder muscles. All right, so if you take your hands down in front, so bring your arm down here in front of you here, there we go. Now we open up the whole chain by her stretching more lengthwise. And so I'm going to run back and forth up here along her paraspinals again. And like a fanning sensation here. And like I just bumped her bone there, probably didn't feel really good. So make sure, place your hand there so that you can't accidentally run into the bones. It does not feel good at all. Okay. And so that's how we do everything laying face down. Stay tuned for the next video, which will show everything laying face up in a supine position. And then further videos coming on to how to work specific areas with specific points for specific orthopedic conditions such as plantar fasciitis, carpal tunnel syndrome, rotator cuff impingement, low back pain, things like that. Those will be coming this direction pretty soon. But for now, this shows you in a prone position, face down, how to access the whole back side of the body. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.